Well, hello friends and neighbors. John, your whiskey neighbor here. Welcome to my backyard, almost to my deck. Beautiful day today. A little too warm to be in the deck itself, but it's just enough air movement. It's a nice time and place to talk a bit about Scotch. Today I want to talk to you about a single malt, one of the Arran malts from the Isle of Arran. This will be, my thoughts. We'll talk about it. I'll nose it, taste it. On the Arran single malt, this is the Amarone cask finish.
3, 4.
As I was saying in the opener, I wanted to talk a bit about a single malt Scotch, but this one has, I think what really stands out, of course, is the finishing. The Arran distillery, they are La Cranza distillery, I believe. It's at the top of the small island, Arran, the Isle of Arran. And I believe they've started a new distillery on the south, Lag or something, and the south one that they started, I believe in 2019, is going to be doing peated malts, and the northern of this island is going to continue more of a Highland style single malt. In my area, I've seen these tins with different colored bands on the bottom indicating different finishes for a little while. From what I know, it's about an 8 to 10 year old single malt, somewhere in there, that's aged in ex-bourbon, and then it's finished for some time. I can't remember if I found a time. I've been reading about some other whiskeys. I can't remember, it was 8, 9 months. Boy, I should look that up. You can as well, but it's finished in a unique cask. And this one is finished in Amarone wine casks. Now, I don't know how well color is coming across on the video. Maybe I should hold this up. I never know how well you can see color, but this bottle, it's worth considering the color because it's non-chill filtered and uncolored, natural color. So all of that hue, and in the bright sun, for me, it's looking a little more, light copper, brassish, but actually often it looks kind of like a very pale pink almost. Like it's got a real kind of a pink hue to it, which is pretty unique. And Amarone wine, I'm not a wine expert by any means, but as I've read just a little bit, Amarone is an Italian wine, and I believe that they harvest the grapes, but then air dry them or cool dry them a bit for a few months before then they make wine from almost kind of like the raisins at that point. And I believe it's sort of a drier, stronger wine. So that's kind of an interesting idea. Not a finish that I've seen on other single malts. I don't know enough about the Arran malts. I've had a couple of tasters, but this is the first bottle on the channel. I read a bit about James McTaggart. He's been there for, I can't remember, 10, 12 years, somewhere in there. Not much else to say. It is, as I said, non-chill filtered, natural color. It's released at 50%, and it's finished, this single malt is finished in Amarone wine casks. See what the whiskey tells us. When I first nose this, it starts to get pretty sweet, goes almost right into berries, and then I get a fair amount of alcohol on the nose. So it kind of singes my nose a bit, so I kind of got to stay at it a little bit. But it feels light, smells, noses light, honeys, and lighter red fruits, light grapes, but more berries, like raspberries, maybe strawberry, that kind of thing, like a sweeter red berry. And then a hint at something actually darker. Now, whether that's in a spicing darker or a darker fruit, at this point my nose is having a hard time picking it out. Because as I lean into that sort of there's a dried fruit. Or is that a spice like a chocolate? kind of gets beat up with the alcohol a little bit. See how it tastes. Sláinte. There's a lot of flavor in this dram. It is a little bit coating, almost chewy, but not quite chewy. So it's got some body. I get a lot more fruits. They're darker in the palate. Definite spicing and a cocoa quality or a dark wood quality. And a fair amount of alcohol. Try another little sip. That time I got a little more malt. Little malt sugars, light sugars, sweet, honey, of course, vanilla. But now a definite deeper quality of the fruits. Darker cherries, dried fruits a little bit. It dries a little bit on the early finish. My mouth is kind of, and some of that deep cocoa. Spice might be coming from the alcohol. Finish is drying finish, and you're left with more in that spice cabinet, a little bit. No, not too spicy, more in the chocolate cabinet. I actually like a lot of the flavors going on in this. I found this on a road trip. I was just driving out to, I was driving out to BC to see Brad, and stopped at an Olympia in Calgary, and they had this last bottle. It was a fantastic price for a 50% non-chill filtered. Really an instant buy. I hadn't read anything about it. I've seen the different Port Santerines. I can't remember that. Oh, that wine always hard for me to remember how to say it. But I hadn't seen the Amarone finish. Saw it there on the shelf. For that price, it was an instant buy. I know this is the old bottle style. They've revamped the way their bottles look. Anyways, took it out, and you can see Brad and I actually tried it a few times and always liked it. Really did. Both of us. There's a really unique quality to it. It stands out. I am going to put a fair amount of water in there and let that just sit for a second while we talk. The only knock that I have against this particular release is, for some reason, a little bit in the nose, but certainly in the palate, I get quite an alcoholic bloom, or whoa. No, it's 50%, right? So you'd expect that, except certainly I've had a number of whiskeys that are in the 50s that don't create that spicy quality from alcohol, I feel, in the mouth. Now, thankfully, it perks, it's kind of peppery from that, but it doesn't have a pour alcohol like an acetone or a marker or any of that kind of alcohol that can happen. The whole experience still tastes rich, core malt, like a honeyed malt. And then the finish, I think it's one of the better finishes, examples of how a finish can complement a malt as opposed to destroy it or cover it up, that I've had. All right, I've added some water to this. Let's see what we get. Fruit is sweeter, but actually the nose is almost burns a little more. So that's too bad. Try the palate. Well, that is a really nice palate. That did tone down the alcohol burn. Now it turned it more into a spicing. Definitely getting dark red, but then into those chocolate notes. A variety of different kind of darker wood. Not musty, because that makes you think maybe it's musty off. That's not it. But I find when I'm getting chocolate in a malt, it either comes from chocolate malt, like it's really roasted, so it's got those roasted notes, or it's from the wood, and I sense that this is coming from that Amarone casking. So it's a deep, deep red notes from the cask. Now, it's not a sherry bomb. By that I mean not like a super red fruit bomb. It still stays with light fruits. I feel like I've contradicted myself. Let's just say malt is sweet and honeyed. Alcohol is strong, but with water moves more toward kind of a spicing. And then there's some different layers, some chocolates and whatnot that I think, they're not overpowering, but I feel like if you spend some time with it, you're going to get it. This from the Arran has certainly, it's been a great buy. And I'd like to get more of I'd like to try the 10-year-old and the Bothy, just to sort of get a better sense of their core malt, and pour it against, if I can keep this around for a little bit, to see what I just said. Is that really true about core malt and finishing? Because here I'm just kind of guessing at it, but I can certainly share with you that this is a tasty single malt. And if you're a seasoned whiskey drinker, then I would suggest you'll be able to let the alcohol evaporate or move over your palate, and then you'll be able to pick it apart. And I think the layers you're going to get are going to be a delight. Without water, it pushes just almost to 4 stars. Like, it's a good, it's great with the natural and that kind of thing. So it's really pretty close to that 4. And with a little splash of water, it goes even a bit over 4 stars for me. This is a really good single malt, and I think a nice finish that's worth considering. So now, I just want to warn you that there definitely is a little singe to the nose and a pepperiness to the alcohol in the palate, and that might put many people off. So I guess I should, restrain it a bit. As always, I'm just one person talking about my opinion. And by no means am I an expert. I'm a person who appreciates different whiskeys. I love picking things apart and sharing with you what I taste. But beyond that, I can't tell you truly the critical nature of this whiskey. I can just share with you the flavors that I'm getting. And I like these flavors. If you see it, especially as I did, on offer, I would suggest, especially if you like wine finishes or light sherry, it's not a harsh, heavy, thick, chewy sherry, so don't think of it as a sherry bomb. But it is a light wine finish that is very interesting to me. I've rambled enough. It's a beautiful day. I hope you had a dram, you poured along. Have a great week.